Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to another LEGO Trainer MOC Showcase video. This is an S15 King Arthur class. This is quite a magnificent little locomotive, if I do say so myself. I use little because it looks smaller to the other locomotives that I've built, like Tornado, the P2, the Coronation, Flying Scotsman. Those are my sort of bigger builds. But even though they are kind of bigger, this still holds its own. It's still the same scale. It looks really good. I'm actually really pleased with this. And yeah, I thought this was quite an interesting challenge because I've done a lot of locomotives where it has wheels behind the drive wheels. I still can't remember what they're called, and I should have looked it up before I recorded the video. But basically where the cab is sort of lower and it looks a little bit better. So for something like this where the cab is level to the boiler and it's above the drive wheels, it's a bit of a challenge because I need to make sure that the cab isn't too tall. And I think I've been able to pull it off all right, but even then I still think it could have been done better. But yeah, this is an S15 King Arthur class with the research that I did do before the episode. The names are basically one and the same, so hopefully I don't get yelled at by train purists and enthusiasts. This is interesting. I think this is the same locomotive that the character Merlin was based on in the 2017 Thomas special, or at least a kind of version of that. I might be getting it wrong somewhere. I think the tender might be a little bit smaller and it's a different class, but yeah, you get the idea in terms of the shape. So that's where the livery comes in. I haven't done any other engines in light grey ever since I rebuilt Greyhound. So with a number of grey bricks left to a side, I thought, you know what, let's make a train in light grey, because why not? And I think it suits this very well because of all the Technic bricks I've got going on here, and I think it works really well. I think light grey was a very wise choice. So once again today it is a bit dark and gloomy, so the light on the camera is on. If that does distort the colour, I do apologise. I did take a few pictures just before starting this video for the sakes of the thumbnails, and the one with the light on does make it look a bit bad, and the one without the light makes it look better, but you can barely see all the black details down here. So at the front, it is, you know, kind of your standard fare when it comes to your steam locomotives. You've got two arch pieces here, which you can barely see because it's so dark. Good old buffers. I do like these buffer style designs, and I'm going to be using that for custom trains in the future, I think. Because, again, it looks really realistic, looks very good. Pilot wheels there, very spacious. We got the cylinder detail actually looking very good. So where the smoke deflector is, I've got a 2x1. If I can take that off, I've got to be careful with this because I really want to show this off. Come on, I can do it. There we go. So that's the front piece being used for the smoke deflectors. And that fits perfectly next to where I've got the Technic brick as my cylinder. I've been able to get all of these in light grey, which looks even better. And yeah, it just works really well. I'm very pleased with how that turned out. We're using a slightly longer brick on this end because, as you just saw with the motion there, that is as far as it goes. It doesn't go all the way up to this end here, so there's no point in using a smaller brick. I can use those for other models in the future, and all in all, this sort of front section turned out really well. I am very pleased with that. The drive wheels are, you know, standard as ever. There's a one stud gap between the second and third drive wheel to represent the real look on the real locomotive. Now, this main drive rod is all done in black Technic bricks, and I think I'm okay with that because whilst it's nice to have a consistent look with these drive rods here, it's nice to be able to use different colours for other details, and I don't have a 1x4 Technic axle rod in light grey, and as far as I know, it doesn't exist in light grey. I could be wrong, but I haven't found it. So yeah, there's that. And of course we go back to the cab area where you see it kind of dips down for these two studs. We will go into the cab in just a moment, but I think I've been able to capture that shape pretty well. Those are ladder bricks there, and I think that's a really good use for them. Kind of makes that scale look pretty accurate. And again, with how this all turned out, I'm very pleased with it. At the back there, we have a small piece as the whistle and the two safety valves there. We have some upside down building going on for the center dome. If I can try and get this out without ripping it off. Sure, that works. So, as you can see, we've got some 2x2 circular pieces and a Technic axle rod going through the center, and that creates a nice smooth look for the dome. That's not something I've done too often. I've done that at least one other time. I think it was with was it the Q1? Yeah, I think it was with the Q1, the bullied Q1. And I think that does look really good. I mean, you can see all of these sort of gaps in the corners there, but that's not too bad. I mean, obviously it's Lego, you're going to get something like that anyway. But yeah, you know, I might try that again in the future. Looks pretty good, that. Right, to the cab. Did I do good with the cab? No, I didn't. Oh, bugger. Okay. So we have our driver in there, and he just about fits in. But I didn't put any detail in the cab. Well, I'm actually a bit bothered about that because of how well this train turned out. You may also notice the sort of L-shaped... Oh, God, I'm getting things caught up. There we go. So we've got these L-shaped bricks along here to help capture the window look when you look at it from the front. And also these side stud... Oh, hang on. Put that one back there. Okay, where were we? So these side stud bricks here to capture the sort of curvature at the back of the cab. It's a bit difficult to do that, and I've done that once. Again with another... Is it the Q1 again that I did that with? I think so, but oh, everything's just falling apart now. That's not good. Cab roof, there we go. But yes, I mean, there are some details when you look at something like that, so that it looks a bit interesting to do, but there needs to be a perfectly curved shape in order for that to work. You can see how it kind of fits in comparison to the roof there. It's perfectly flat against the roof there. That's perfectly matched at 4 studs long. But it's just weird. It's a bit chunky there, and I don't really like that. That's probably the only thing about this model I don't like. Well, that and the fact that I didn't give the cabin interior. So yeah, let's have that one over there. I'm going to keep the driver out since I took the driver out earlier. That's what the driver minifigure looks like, just in case anybody is curious. Yeah, look at that. It's pretty good. Right, tender. Probably one of the nicer looking tenders I've built. It's lower down, it's longer, and it's probably just a bit simpler compared to the other ones. If I grab my P2 tender, because that's close by, you can get an idea of how the shapes are very different, of course. If I just lay them both down for a second. Now, whilst I do like this sort of shape, it definitely has that sort of express locomotive look. This is more of a relaxing tender. You've still got your 4 sets of wheels going along there, but they're a bit more spread out. The overall shape of this is more comforting, and given the style of locomotive, I suppose it shows its age, if you know what I mean. This definitely has a more earlier 1900s locomotive in comparison to when this one came out. But yeah, I mean, overall, this was quite easy to put together. I bashed this in about half an hour, I think. It was really quick when I made this tender. Had all the parts ready, I knew I was going to do it, and yeah, it kind of just happened. Sadly, I don't have enough of these 1x1 pieces to make the coal bed full, but that's not too much of a problem because it looks good anyway. So yeah, that is my... Actually, hang on, let me try this slightly differently because I want to be able to do this on camera. Do it all in one take, it makes me look... Well, not look good, but feel good. Here we go, connect that all in there. It makes me feel good when I actually get it done. It makes me look stupid when I take too long doing it. There we go, so that's the tender connected. And now, get it on the track, run it up and down for a moment, and end the video. So yeah, look at that. That is genuinely a beautiful locomotive. Now, it's not as big as my other ones, and it's not as grand, but it is definitely up there as one of the best. This turned out so well, and I am very pleased with the end result. It looks beautiful, and this is one of these kind of, I suppose, like a smaller locomotive that people should try. It's a bit weird to say because the boiler is definitely shorter, but the tender, again, is definitely longer than other ones that I've built. But yeah, nice looking train. I'm very happy to have this on my railway, but sadly, I've got other plans for this. This is going to be turning into a custom design locomotive, and I suppose this was kind of made as like a base for all of these colours. It looks good, I'm glad to have documented it, but I have other things in mind with these bricks. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all ever so much for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. I will see you all in the next episode. Bye.